Hello everyone, I am Sandeep. I'm a senior ServiceNow expert with extensive experience in customizing and optimizing ServiceNow products. I have certified in multiple products of ServiceNow and specialized in delivering solutions, scalable applications, and automations. So in ServiceNow, we use scripting in many areas like client scripts, server-side scripts. Script includes script actions, fixed scripts, background scripts, and many more. To perform advanced customization, scripting is very important. ServiceNow uses JavaScript syntax and many functions of JavaScript. We are going to cover about the variables, string operations, conditional statements, iterative statements, arrays, objects, functions, and many more. First up, let's talk about comments. Comments are used to explain what your code is doing. They are incredibly useful for making your code more readable and maintaining it over the time. Comments are not executed by the program. They are just purely for the benefit of the human readers. In most programming languages, comment starts with the special characteristics. In the meanwhile, the JavaScript, we have the double slash for the single line comment or for the inline comments we use. And for the multiple line comments, we use the slash star and the star slash at the start and end of the several lines of the code. Next, let's move on to the variables. Variables are like storage boxes in your code. They hold the data that you can use and manipulate. The data inside these variables can change as your program runs. To declare a variable, you generally have to assign it to a value. So here we have wrote let name equal to alias and constant age is equal to that. Here the name holds a string and the age holds an integer. Variables can be reassigned, but if you use the constant, the variable's value cannot be changed. Understanding the variables is a crucial because they let you, to store and work with the data very dynamically. Finally, let's talk about the data types. Data types specify like what kind of data a variable can hold. Some of the common data types include integer, floats, strings, booleans, objects, arrays, and many more. Understanding these data types is a key to manipulating and processing the data correctly in your programs. Let's talk about the strings. A string is a sequence of characters used to represent the text. You can define a string using the quotes. In JavaScript, you can use the single quotes, double quotes, or backticks for template literals. So here is an example of the string with the single quotes. And next, let's cover the arrays. The arrays are a collection of elements, and each element is accessed by an index. And coming to the objects are collection of key value pairs. It allows you to store data in a structured way. In JavaScript, the objects are defined with a curly braces. You can access values with dot notation or a bracket notation. So in JavaScript, the type of operator it is used to determine the type of variables or the value. Here's how it works. So here we have console.log type of 42. Here it defines the number and the float also defines the number. And in JavaScript, the float and the integer, it does not vary that much. It will show as a number. But while coming to the string, it will show as a string and console.log the type of true, it show or true or false, it comes with a boolean. And also, we also have the alert function. The alert function is used to display a pop-up message to the user. It often used for debugging or providing a simple feedback in the web applications. When this line of code is executed in the browser, a dialog box will appear with the message hello world and an OK button. So that's how it's gonna be working data. Firstly, we talk about arithmetic operators. A typical arithmetic operation operates on two numbers. The two numbers can be literals, variables, or else expressions. The numbers are called operands. The operation which to be performed between two operands is defined by an operator. Here, the addition operator is used to add two numbers together. For example, in this code, we assigned x to the value of 5, y to the value of 2. So the assignment operator assigns a value to a particular variable. Here x is assigned to a value of 5. The subtraction operator subtracts one number from another. Here we consider the x assigned to a value of 5 and y to assigned to a value of 2. the difference will be 3. And coming to the incrementing operator, the increment operator increments the number. Here we consider let x is equal to 5 and x increment, let z equal to x. The final z value is going to be 6. Here the increment operator works as like x is equal to x plus 1. Coming to the decrement operator, the decrement operator decrements the numbers. Here we consider x is equal to 5 and x is equal to x minus 1. So the final output is going to be 4. And coming to the assignment operators, as we said before, the assignment operator assigns a value to a variable. So in assignment operators, we have simple assignment. So the simple assignment operator assigns a value to a variable. For example, let x equal to 10. So here the x is assigned to the value of 10. And coming to the addition assignment, the addition assignment operator adds a value to a variable and assigns the results to that variable. For example, x plus equal to 5. So here if x was 10, then it will be the 50. And coming to the subtraction assignment, the subtraction assignment operator subtracts a value from a variable and assigns the results. For example, here x minus equal to 3. If x was 15, then it will show 12. Comparison operators. In JavaScript, comparison operators are used to compare values and return a Boolean result, like either true or false. Here a quick overview of the comparison operators which are available in the JavaScript. Equality operator. It compares two values for equality, performing type correlation if necessary. For example, console.log of 5 equality of 5. Here the 5 is the integer and here the 5 is a string. So the output is true. And coming to strict equality, which is a triple equal symbols. Here the console.log 5 strict equality is equal to string of 5. Here the output is going to be false. Coming to the inequality, it compares the two values for inequality, performing type correlation if necessary. For example, 5 not equal to string of 5, which is going to be a false. And coming to strict inequality, the output is going to be true. Coming to the greater than, it checks if the left value is greater than the right value. So if 10 is greater than 5, it's going to, the output is going to be true. And greater than or equal to checks if the left value is greater than or equal to the right value. For example, 10 greater than or equal to 10, which is going to be true. And coming to the less than, checks if left value is less than the right value. So here 5 is less than 10, which is true. Less than or equal to checks if left value is less than or equal to the right value. So here 5 less than or equal to 5, which is true. And coming to logical operators, in JavaScript, logical operators are used to perform logical operations on values or expressions. They are essential for combining multiple conditions and controlling the flow of your code. Here is a breakdown of primary logical operators. The first one is the logical AND. It returns true if both operands are true. Otherwise, it returns false. If the first operand is false and the second operand is not evaluated, as the overall result will be false, regardless of the second operand. So here, if it is true and true, the final output is going to be true. And if it is true and false, the final output is going to be false. And false and true, it's going to be a false. And false and false, the final output is going to be false. So for example, we assign let a equal to 5 and let b equal to 10. So here, if log of a less than 10 and the logical and b greater than 5, the output is going to be true because as b is greater than 5 is being evaluated because a less than 10 is true. And coming to the second example, if a is greater than 10 and b is greater than 5, the output is going to be false because b is greater than 5 is not evaluated because a greater than 10 is false. And coming to the logical OR, it returns true if at least one of the operands is true. Otherwise, it returns false. If the first operand is true and the second operand is not evaluated, as the overall result will be true, regardless of the second operand. So in here, the true logical OR of true is going to be true. And true or false, the final output is true. If it is false or true, the final output is going to be true. And if it is false or false, the final output is going to be false. So for example, we assign like x value is 5 and y value is 10. So if x greater than 0 or y less than 5, the output is going to be true because as x greater than 0 is true, so y less than 5 is not being evaluated. If x less than 0 and y less than 5, the both are going to be false because both conditions are false. Some of the fundamental concepts of JavaScript: if statement, else statement, else if statement, switch statement, for loop, and while loop. These are essential for making decisions in your code and controlling the flow of execution. The conditional statements are used to perform different actions based on different conditions. We use if to specify a block of code to be executed if a specified condition is true, and we use else to specify a block of code to be executed if the same condition is false, and we use else if to specify a new condition to test if the first condition is false, and vice versa. We use the switch to specify many alternative blocks of code to be executed. So let's look at a simple example. Here we are assigning the temperature of a value of 30 and given the if condition. In this case, if the temperature is greater than 25, it logs that it's a hot day. Pretty straightforward, right? While coming to the else statement, we use the else statement to specify a block of code to be executed if the condition is false. Here is the syntax of the else statement. Here, if the age is less than 18, it logs as a minor. Otherwise, it logs as an other. This ensures all possible outcomes are being covered. Next, we have else if statement, which allows us to check multiple conditions. This is the syntax for the else if condition. So here, this code checks the score and logs the corresponding grade. If the score is 90 or above, it logs grade A. If it's between 75 and 89, it logs grade B. Otherwise, it logs as grade C. While coming to the switch statement, the switch statement is used to perform different actions based on different conditions. We use the switch statement to select one of many code blocks to be executed. Here is the syntax of the switch statement. This is how it works. The switch expression is evaluated once. The value of the expression is compared with the value of each case. If there is a match, the associated block of code is executed. If there is no match, the default code block is executed. To explain the switch statement in a simple example, here is a code below. This example uses the weekday number to calculate the weekday name. Here, the getDay method returns the weekday as a number between 0 and 6. Like the Sunday is equal to 0, Monday is equal to 1, Tuesday is equal to 2. Coming to the loops can execute a block of code a number of times. The loops are very handy if you want to run the same code over and over again, each time with a different value. Simple example for let I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. From this example, you can read the expression 1 sets the variable before the loop starts, that is let I is equal to 0. And with the expression 2, it defines the condition for the loop to run. I must be less than 5. And here in the space of expression 3, it increases the value of I plus plus each time the code block in the loop has been executed. Coming to the while loop. The loops can execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is being true. Here, this is a syntax of the while condition. So here in the example, this loop will also run 5 times, but it's useful when you don't know in advance how many times you need to repeat a block of code. We use for loop when you know the number of iterations, and we use the while loop when the number of iterations depend upon a condition which is being met. So what is a function? A function is a reusable block of code that performs a specific task. Think of it as a recipe. You define the ingredients and steps. And whenever you want to bake, you just call the recipe. In JavaScript, you define a function like this. Here, greet is the name of the function. When we call greet function, it executes the code inside it. Coming to functions with arguments. Functions can also accept parameters, which are like placeholders for values you want to pass into the function. Let's see how that works. Now, when we call greet Alice, it outputs hello Alex. So you can pass different names to greet different people. And with the default parameters, you can also set different default values for parameters. This way, if no argument is provided, it uses the default. Calling greet with no arguments will greet guest by default. Now let's talk about variables in context of functions. Variables can be logical or global. Local variables are declared within a function and cannot be accessed outside it. In this code, as you can see, trying to access local variable outside the function results in an error. Global variables, on the other hand, are declared outside of any function and can be accessed from anywhere in your code. As you can see in this code, the global variable can be accessed from both inside and outside the function. While global variables can be useful, they can also lead to the problems, especially in larger programs. It's a good practice to keep variables local whenever possible to avoid conflicts and maintain a clean code. To recap, functions in JavaScript are powerful tools for organizing and reusing code. They can accept parameters, use logical and global variables, and make your code much more manageable. Whether you are an experienced developer or just starting out, following best practices is the key to writing clean, efficient, and maintainable code that can scale with your platform. When working in ServiceNow, it's important to follow some key JavaScript best practices. These ensure that your scripts are not only functional but also optimized for performance, secure, and easy to maintain. We'll break this down into categories so you can incorporate them into your development. First up, let's talk about glide record. Glide record is one of the most frequently used server-side objects in ServiceNow for querying records from tables. However, it's important to use it wisely to avoid performance bottlenecks. As you can see in this code, we are limiting the number of results using the set limit, which ensures we don't retrieve unnecessary records. Always try to query only the fields you need and avoid and processing the large datasets unnecessarily. Modular code is crucial in maintaining a clean code base. That's where script includes comes in handy. A script include lets you store reusable server-side JavaScript functions. For example, in this code, this function can now be called anywhere in the system, reducing code duplication and making your script much more easier to maintain. Now let's move to the client side. You want to minimize heavy client scripts to ensure smooth form performance. For any server-side iteration, use glide ajax instead of directly using glide record. As example, this keeps your client-side code lightweight and ensures any heavy lifting is done on the server side. The security is very critical. Always use glide record secure when querying sensitive data to make sure only authorized users can access the information. As for example, in this code, it ensures the data is only accessible to users with the right permissions. Error handling is another must. Use try-catch blocks to gracefully manage any issues in your script and log errors appropriately. As you see in the example, this way your script doesn't fail silently and you have a clear log of what went wrong. Coming to the optimizing performance. Performance matters, especially when dealing with large datasets. Instead of iterating through records, use glide aggregate to summarize the data. Here, we are counting the number of active incidents without looping through all the records, which makes it much faster. Here, in this, we have the active incident count, which is 85. Readability and maintainability. Finally, always write code that is easy to read and maintain. Use meaningful variable names, add comments to explain the complex logic, and keep a consistent structure. As per this example, simple self-explanatory code helps not only you, but also your teammates down the road. And there you have it, the best practices for writing JavaScript in ServiceNow. Following these guidelines will help you to write the code that is secure, efficient, and easy to maintain. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below with any questions or topics you'd like me to cover next. Happy coding, and see you in the next video.